everyone, welcome to the Otherz podcast. We've been away for a minute, but we are back at long last. I am your host, Stephen Penny. Joining me this week, special guest all the way from Southern California, 10 hours in the past. Joining me, Luke Cortes. How you doing, Luke?
Doing good. How about yourself?
Not too bad, thank you. Not too bad. Apart from being stuck indoors all day on a lovely sunny day, but...
That's my life too, so I can totally relate.
But the problem is, I think in Southern California, you get many more sunny days than I get out here. So I should be taking advantage of the very few that I get.
Well, I actually hate the sunny days. So if you want to come to California, I'll go to Finland, and it's a deal. Like, I'm totally down with that.
I'm more than happy to swap that lifestyle. More than happy. If you can live with 20 hours of darkness for like 9 months a year, oh, good.
That's heaven.
Okay. I'll hold you to that. All right, so this week we are going to talk about She Wants to Move, and also I thought we may talk about some of the other new albums that we've had drop recently as well, seeing as they kind of pertain to, you know, what we talk about. We had the Pusha album and Kanye and Cudi, and we got some Pharrell beats on the new Carter album, so I think we'll talk about all of those a little bit as well.
Yeah, it's all related. Why not?
Exactly. So let's start with She Wants to Move, a classic N.E.R.D track released on the 9th of March 2004. I feel so old. Video directed by Dave Meyers, who directed many Pharrell and N.E.R.D videos. This charted not too badly. I say not too badly. It got to number 6 in the US, but that was on the Billboard Hot Dance Club Play chart, whatever the hell that is. That's some weird subsection there. Got to top 10 in Italy and Norway, top 5 in Denmark and the UK.
Now, when you say top 10 and top 5, are you talking just Hot 100 or that same sub whatever category?
Those are like the main overall charts. Okay. I think if you go to like other countries, like in the UK and stuff like that, we don't have all those weird and wonderful subsections that you seem to have in the US, which is like, you know, hip hop dance tracks with one white person, one black person, and a squirrel in the video. You know, it's...
Yeah, now you qualify. If you have all those things, you got a shot.
Exactly. But yeah, these are just kind of overall charts. So it didn't chart too badly. I don't know what the overall US number was. It can't have been great if I didn't add it into my my notes here, but hey.
That is surprising to me that they charted so high. I think it's a great song, but I wouldn't think they would be top 10 or like you mentioned. So
yeah, well, I think with the UK at least, it charted so highly because N.E.R.D were touring quite a bit in the UK back then, but also in the video we've got the main kind of dancer is Alicia Dixon.
Fire, by the way.
Who was fairly well known in the UK. She was in like a girl group called like Mystique in the early 2000s. A really bad girl group, I must add. And she's now famous because she does. She's one of the judges on those like reality shows. I think it's Britain's Got Talent.
Yep.
So that's what she's kind of known for nowadays. But back then, yeah, she was like a singer-dancer. I think, if I remember the story correctly, Pharrell saw her somewhere in one of her own videos or something and asked for her to kind of come in and audition for the music video, which she did, and she got it. So I think that added to a lot of the press that the song got in the UK. You know, the fact there's a British person in a kind of seminal position in the video who is already kind of quite well known as well.
Definitely helps the marketing. She's like the Met before Met. That's that girl's name, right? Met or Meta? The girl who dances for Lemonade. Yeah. It's cool.
But that's an interesting thing they're doing with Meta at the moment as well, is they're focusing all of the videos and all of the choreography and a lot of the stage shows and the social media stuff and the marketing kind of around her.
Yeah.
Which is strange because you look back over the last few years and obviously he started to branch out in terms of the stage show and having the dancers, the bays or whatever that fucking awful name is. And she was just one of the kind of regular dancers amongst a group of, 10 normally or something on stage?
Yeah.
And she's kind of obviously come out into her own, and she's now the kind of focal point for these videos and things. So it's really interesting to see a dancer move into that position, but also to give one of these people that's normally just in the background a really kind of prominent, really kind of prominent position. And for an all kind of male group, and I think an all male band as well, it's something a bit different, and I think it helps. From a cynical perspective, it helps with kind of the marketing and the reach and stuff like that.
A hot girl to look at for sure.
Well, yeah, but it also brings in, it's kind of that female empowerment, I guess. It's like, you're not just a backup dancer, you're part of this project, and and she's now gone on. I think recently I saw she'd signed a makeup deal with, I don't know, Maybelline, or I don't know, one of these kind of makeup groups and stuff.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
So yeah, it's really good to see that happening. But let's get back to She Wants to Move. That's what we were talking about.
Jeez, yeah, that's where we were at.
So yeah, as I say, this is to me a classic N.E.R.D track. It's one of the more commercial sounding ones, but it's still, to me, it still goes hard. It's still like a classic N.E.R.D sound to it, and it's got that drum beat in it, which is like...
The drum is insane, and the guitar as well. The guitar is just blew me away. Because I was listening to it again yesterday, I was like, wow, I forgot how good this song is.
Yeah.
And it's always good to go back and revisit songs like that,
Yeah, definitely. And it's one of those tracks that, we sort of talk regularly on the podcast about. We hear a lot of these tracks sort of quite regularly, and a lot of the older ones, at least, I kind of gloss over because I've heard them so many times. But this is one where I do actually enjoy listening to it still, and do kind of pay attention to it, and I do watch the video. And
I think one of my favorite things, and it shows with this track, is like you can listen to it and you can't tell what year it was made. Like you can't be like, oh yeah, this was that era or that. Like I listened to it yesterday and I was like, yeah, it doesn't sound like anything that came out today or 10 years ago. It just sounds like a great song, and that's why it holds up so well.
Yeah, it's definitely aged very well, which a lot of their early stuff has done. You look at like all of In Search Of.
Yeah,
you could put most of that out today, and it would still sound relevant and fresh, and and that's kind of testament, I guess, to their production and their writing and all of that stuff.
Yep.
But also kind of quite iconic video, I guess, as well. At least like I think for the fans. We've got the red dog, which was used in a lot of the marketing for Fly or Die.
Yeah, it's definitely going to bring that up.
Yeah, and we've got the part of the video I actually really like. It's a bit strange, but it's the red heads at the start. It's almost like the floating heads in the intro of the song.
Yeah, it was wild. I was not expecting that.
It's not something I'd seen from like Dave Meyers previous to that. So, and I don't know where he kind of got the idea for that from, but it's a simple part of the video that I really, really like. Yeah,
it's a neat little part. Definitely, when it starts with the red dog, like you said, I was like, whoa, now this seems like a flashback. The song itself is timeless, but that visual is like holds, obviously, the Bape collab and all the marketing they did with it. So that was a cool thing to see.
Yeah, and what I quite like is, I was telling my kid this the other day, he was like, oh, they've used a computer to make that dog red. And I was like, no, they actually dyed that poor dog red.
Really?
Yeah, because I remember they actually used, I don't know if it was that dog or a different dog, but they did a lot of marketing, like photo shoots and stuff, and there are like photos of them outdoors somewhere, just preparing for a photo shoot, and he's holding a bright red dog like on the lead, and it was pure white, and they dyed it in some kind of way, so it was all red.
That is awesome. Now here's my question with that. Did they put blue contacts in his eyes, or is that going to be Photoshop?
I think that is real. I think that is the type of dog. It's some kind of husky type dog. You get them a lot here in Finland and in Northern America and Canada and stuff. But I think the blue eyes are, it's actual eyes. Although the colouring may be tweaked, but...
That is amazing. I kind of want to get a wolf or whatever, a Siberian Husky, and just dye it red like that now. Like, that is the most fire dog I've ever heard of. I didn't know they dyed it. That is amazing.
Yeah, I think you'd have the RSPCA like at your door quite quickly.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to lay low for sure.
So what else have we got in the video? Again, we've got some like early BBC branding going on. We saw that previously in the fronting video, which came out a few months before. So we've got the white and gold and the black and white BBC tees.
Did you notice, if I don't mean to interrupt, did you notice they had the astronaut logos on like the little pod things? Little BBC
another. I like the look of that. So there's a couple of scenes which looks down. It's like a long kind of walkway or corridor, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then along the walls, they've got these kind of capsules or bubbles that protrude slightly with lights behind them, and then the astronaut on them. It's kind of a good look, but I think it's kind of slight overkill.
Yeah.
Especially the multiples of them is like 10 or 20 going all the way down that kind of corridor. Placing one of them somewhere or different logos on different ones, I think would have been quite cool.
It did seem forced for sure. It seemed like they were trying to push it.
Yeah, definitely. But this was sort of very early days, and I guess they're kind of testing the waters with the branding and the logos and
creating
stuff like that.
Hype, definitely.
Yeah, exactly, and just trying to get it noticed, I guess. Because I think back then your average kind of music video watcher wouldn't have had any idea that had anything to do with a clothing line of any kind.
Yeah.
Whereas, the kind of fans like us would see that and tie it back to the stuff we've seen in the front-end video. And I think around that time some of the Season 0 stuff was starting to kind of leak out as well. So you would have had that logo about. So people would have started to kind of tie that together. Yeah,
definitely generates a little bit of hype, hysteria, whatever you want to call it. It's cool how all the videos do have those little Easter eggs, though, of the logos sparse throughout, and it's kind of like a running story. If you look at the videos, you can see the progressions. So, yeah,
definitely. And it's strange because obviously all the videos are done by different directors, and I don't know if that's a thing that people in the N.E.R.D camp say to the directors, like we somehow want some of this branding placed in there, or whether the directors kind of take it upon themselves to utilize the brand and bring it into the video.
I would imagine they tell them, we're trying to push this, but at the same time, I'm sure the artists, such as the directors, like, okay, well, how can we creatively do this without putting it over the top,
Yeah. And I don't know if they did it particularly well in this instance.
Not a fan.
No, like I say, it kind of looks cool to a certain extent, but a whole wall of them looks a little bit weird.
Yeah, it was much.
But aside from that, we've got a couple of BBC tees in there. We've got the early 2000s Pharrell camo shorts and dunks that he's wearing. We got Shay wearing a Bape tee, an Ansgar one, and a Bape hat as well, I think, if I remember correctly.
I definitely saw the tee. Don't remember the hat. I didn't even notice the dunks. You're on this way more than I am.
It's only because people will regularly say, "Oh, you talked about the fit, but what were the shoes he was wearing?" And I think I remember looking at it at the time, thinking, "I'll mention just a pair of dunks.
Just get it out of the way."
Nothing special. Yeah, they weren't like, because a lot of time we get people asking like, "Oh, were those sort of shoes over there ice creams, or were they Bapesters, or whatever?" But I think they were just plain dunks in this one.
Yeah, that's the thing with
from
clothing.
What I can remember.
You could be somebody who's into clothing, and that applies to shirts, shorts, hoodies, all that. And then there's a whole culture of just sneakers. So you got to mention the sneakers for the sneakerheads.
Exactly, yeah. Otherwise somebody will mention it at some point.
Yeah.
So were you, did you have the album itself when it came out?
No.
The Fly or Die?
That's why I can't claim to be, I claim to be a N.E.R.D fan, but I'm not that, it's hard to say. I'm really into N.E.R.D, but compared to you and everybody else that I talk to, it's like, you guys are my OGs for sure. I was
going to say,
go ahead.
You are almost infinitely younger than most of us as well, though. I think that's possibly part of the problem as well.
At that time, I was 2004? I was 7. So, but I got into N.E.R.D heavy, probably not even 4 years ago or less. I got the album now, obviously listened to it. That's going to be my favorite N.E.R.D album. But at that time, no. Can't even lie.
But that's good that you've come into it, as you've got older and you've discovered it and now you're kind of heavy into it yourself and
Yeah, it's nice. I just can't claim to be too into it because I already know I'm gonna get killed in the comments saying, "Why you got this fake fan on here? He don't even know the music."
You wouldn't get that on any of our comments. It's all love. It's all love.
It's a love thing, like Kanye's been preaching. All love.
Exactly. We got good fans that follow us. We haven't brought in the crazies quite yet.
That's when it gets fun.
Yeah, exactly. And also one thing I was going to mention in the video as well. This kind of caused lots of comments, I guess, and not controversy, but rumors and stuff. Is the line at the start? She makes me think of lightning in the skies. And then there's a picture of the sky and the lightning, and it kind of spells out the word India, who was his supposed girlfriend at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, I didn't follow any of that kind of rumor. Well, not that I do now, but I definitely back then didn't follow any of that kind of rumor type stuff, or was never interested in which celebrities dating who and stuff.
Yeah.
So I actually tried to Google, like, who was his girlfriend called India back then, but couldn't really find anything.
Jeez, where do you pick up these little nooks and crannies? I feel like I didn't even watch the same video as you.
I just remember it from back in the day, and this again showing my age here. Back when we had the old
OG
Star
Big
Trek. No, that as well, but the Star Trek forums as well, and people would go mad in there for all these kind of weird and wonderful little things. I remember the conversations then, people trying to work out who this India reference
Mystical
was relating
girl.
to, and exactly, yeah.
Oh God.
But yeah, I'm not going to dig too deep into that. I don't really have an interest in that kind of thing. And obviously, he's a happily married man now, so
moved on.
Exactly. So, what else have we got about the videos? We mentioned we got like Alicia Dixon in there. Dancing her way around. We've also got the woman in the red dress who is a different person. I was trying to find out who that was, but I had no luck whatsoever tracking down whoever that person is. So if anyone out there knows who that is, please let me know. Please get in touch.
Put it on the forums. I'm sure you guys know.
Yeah. I'm sure there's someone out there that's, like Star Trek World or somebody out there on Instagram that will like know the name instantly and be like, oh, that's that person from so-and-so, and yeah. But I was trying to look up who it was, and I couldn't find any information.
Oh, yeah.
So in terms of, like, the track itself, have you listened to, like, the remixes at all? Are you aware of the remixes?
Not even aware of the remixes.
Okay, so there's a Daft Punk remix, there's a Basement Jaxx remix, and there's a Native Tongues remix.
Damn.
And the Native Tongue one is Common, De La Soul, Mos Def, Q-Tip, and then has Pharrell doing a slightly different hook on it. And I would go so far as to say like the Native Tongue remix is a really good remix, and it's almost up there as good as the original, I think.
Sounds like some high quality artist. That is insane. I cannot believe Daft Punk remixed it too. That's the one I would probably want to hear most.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Those remixes didn't do that much, like the Daft Punk Basement Jaxx ones. The Native Tongue remix I still hear out and about occasionally. Just it's got some like quite good rhymes on it and stuff.
I feel like with remixes, if you're gonna do a remix, it needs to be better than the original. Otherwise, why remix it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
I'm surprised to hear you say the Native Tongue one wasn't quite as good as the original, just because
it's definitely up there. I'd put it alongside it.
It's competitive.
To me, like the Daft Punk and the Basement Jaxx remixes turn it more from a rocky kind of sound into a more dance kind of sound, which to me doesn't work particularly well. Mm-hmm. Whereas like the Native Tongue one is still just hip hop. It's just rhymes, bars.
I gotta admit, I'm surprised that you wouldn't go towards the dance sound, because I think of it more of a dance song and less of a hip hop song. So I would feel like that would probably sound well, but each person got their own taste.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, maybe there's not great remixes. I don't know, but yeah, I prefer the original and the native tongue one. Then the other two, I could take them or leave them. Yeah.
One thing I noticed, I don't know if you noticed, was the spaceship. They do like, I think it was maybe just one shot, but they show it's like a woman's body. Did you notice that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
It's quite funny now because the line it kind of refers to in the imagery that's linked to it. If you watch any of the YouTube videos now on any of the like official channels, they dub out the line basically.
Wow.
So yeah, it's not quite explicit lyrics, but yeah, they dub it out. So
do you have the line?
And it only happened like in the last, I think, couple of years that they changed it. 2 or 3 years that they updated the videos, I think. So I don't know, again, if that's a thing from Pharrell's people, where his
making
image
an effort.
And his marketing has gone in a slightly different direction, and they want things to be a little bit cleaner and I don't know what the right word is, but kind of non-sexualized,
just playing
I guess.
It safe.
Overtly sexualized, perhaps.
Are you going to give us the line, or you want Pharrell's people?
I can't sing, so no, I'm not giving you the line.
Oh, dirty.
People can look the line up and they can play it themselves.
There you go.
I'm not going to recite it or try and sing it. Certainly not. But yeah, like in terms of like that part of the video as well. I thought it was sort of very good imagery, the graphics they use, and again tying the spaceship and the shape of the spaceship into the line itself. I think with obviously the dubbed out version, it doesn't work very well now because you can't piece the two bits together. But originally, it was a good visual to go with that line, whether you like the line or not.
Jesus Christ, what is this line?
People out there will know the line if they know the song. It's fine.
I know. I'm trying to look it up, though.
Are you finding the lines now?
I'm a little interested. Yep. And I suck at Google, so that's not happening.
Oh, dear.
All right.
Anyway, yeah. The people out there will know the line.
Another thing I noticed.
Go on.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. And I might be making too much of this, but Pharrell riding off on the motorcycle or the dirt bike, was that ahead of its time? I feel like I've seen him shot on the motorcycle for the BBC Lookbook as well. He's riding off on that. And then if you fast forward now, I would say more so last year, but even now it's a lot of motorcycle stuff is trending. Dirt bikes, not motorcycles, but dirt bike stuff. You see Uzi and the Migos riding around on them. Or Supreme just did their collab. Are we giving Pharrell credit for being ahead of his time on that? Or is that just something that he did and it's not more than that?
I don't know if he's ahead of his time. I think it's a kind of image that's been used a lot over the years in music videos, in TV and film and stuff like that. It kind of has... if I just watch that one scene where they're riding off on the bike, it has like a Mad Max kind of feel to it to me. And you see a lot of like music videos and stuff like that and other movies influenced by Mad Max, like being in the desert, just having a car or a bike, and it kind of gives me that feel. So I don't really think it was ahead of its time. I just think a lot of these certain imagery
stays
repeats
and goes
itself,
in cycles.
or it stays almost like and can work in lots of different situations, lots of different videos. So
definitely, I feel like if you go looking for a conspiracy, like that's your intention, you'll find one. But it's no conspiracy. He was just on a motorcycle and
exactly It's just an imagery of him like riding off into the sun with a beautiful woman, behind him.
Yeah, and I didn't even.
And it's just
connect the Mad Max connection, but now that you say it, it's like, I feel like that was definitely an influence because it seems like a post-apocalyptic deserted world that they land on. It has like 2 or 3 moons in the sky. So it definitely seems like it's not Earth, it's like something crazier going on and they're just riding off into the sunset.
Exactly. And you've got that scene numerous scenes where they're playing the piano and the guitar and the drums, and you've got Alicia Dixon dancing in the middle, and as they kind of like revolve around, and you've got all these people in these kind of like balconies, kind of dancing and stuff, and it's like an underground terrain kind of thing.
Celebration festival.
Exactly. Yeah.
Excuse my Game of Thrones reference. I know we got some nerds. I want to see if we got some Game of Thrones nerds on here. So
Game of Thrones references are always good. But yeah, I don't know who else will get them. But yeah.
To the two of you out there that appreciate it, we appreciate you. Exactly.
Yeah. I'm sure there's plenty of people that will have watched certain scenes in Game of Thrones and will understand what that is. But is there anything else about the song or the video you picked up on?
Let's see what we got. I'm glad I took notes.
You did better preparation than my usual co-host.
Oh yeah, shout out David. Wish you were here. Never met you.
Yeah, shout out David. Yeah, he's working hard, expanding his business. Never has time for lowly podcasts anymore. But no, he will be back at some point in the near future, I'm sure.
I hope our paths cross soon. Glad to be here with Penny, though. Obviously, it's good times. Let's see, as far as the video, I don't got much else. I mean, you're the ultimate researcher over here. You put me to shame for sure.
Well, yeah, I think we've covered the main points. As I say, classic N.E.R.D track. Probably not one of my favourites. I don't know if it'd be top 5, top 10 for me, but definitely one I still happily listen to, still happily watch the video. And
can I get your top 3 off of Fly or Die? I'm curious to see if that would be in there.
You could get my top 3, but I'd have to put up the track listing because my memory is abysmal. And I don't think I have it in front of me, although I did a few moments ago. Let me have a look. Fly or Die. And this is where there will be certain people listening to this podcast saying, oh, you call yourself a fan, you don't even know the track listing.
That's why I'm saying
album.
Off the top, like, hey, I'm not that big of a fan because I know you guys will murder me. I'm just a fan, but I don't got it tattooed on my body.
Unfortunately, I do, but yeah.
Oh, so you got no excuse. Ooh,
She Wants to Move, yeah. So it was track 5 on the album. It's a strong album, to be fair. I don't know if I could put them in actual order, but like Wonderful Place would be up there for me. Mm-hmm. Maybe The Way She Dances, Chariot of Fire. Yeah, She Wants to Move would probably make top 5.
Number 5?
Yeah.
Just looking at my plays on here, it's funny. Looking at my plays for the album, that is by far the second least played song on the entire album for me.
Oh, really?
Behind Don't Worry About It. But my top 3 would be Jump. That song gives me like I know we say this stuff's timeless, but that gives me like a 2003 like weird rock vibe. I love that song.
It's aged well, but it does sound kind of its time.
In the time.
I think 'cause it's got the Madden Brothers on it, and there was that kind of music was popular at that time.
That's a rock song for sure. Mm-hmm. I think I love the vibe it gives me. Chariot of Fire, I always listen to that song, and it's an 8-minute song, so it's like a journey every time I listen to it. I feel like
with like Find My Way as the second
part
of
2,
it.
Yeah. As long as it's on one track, I just consider it one.
Yeah.
And then number 3, there's a lot of good songs, but I think I'd have to go with Maybe. That's another great song. Mm-hmm. Some good stuff for sure.
Maybe's a classic. I think that's in 2 or 3 podcast time we'll probably be doing Maybe. But yeah, that's got some great imagery, some great colours, some
great
really
history.
Good early BBC stuff.
If you look at the, I mean, obviously you guys are going to go into it, but I'll just touch on a little bit. Where he performs live at one of the festivals. I forget. I want to say Glastonbury, but it's probably not. He's wearing the N.E.R.D shirt with the all 3 of them on it and the dog, and that's probably the most famous N.E.R.D Bape shirt there is. Very expensive, very sought after.
It's quite funny because I recorded another podcast earlier today, which will come out after this one. So a bit back to front, and we did Let's Get Blown, and obviously he has that T-shirt in Let's Get Blown as well.
Oh yeah, see.
And we were talking about the the ridiculous resale value of that shirt and how sought after it is.
If I can just say, and this is one of my biggest regrets, I bought that shirt in crap condition, probably 5 out of 10. I paid $500 for it, and I've never worn it once. Huge L. I should have just paid $900 and gotten it dead stock. I was like, I'll just take this one, and I completely hate myself for it. So
I don't kind of follow a lot of the resale stuff these days, and I know you kind of do to a certain extent. Are they still going for like 800-900 mark for a good one?
Our mutual friend Rohan has one listed for like 900 for like a year. So I wouldn't say they're going for that. You might get the right guy who, like, it might be me back in the day, not so much anymore. I would say if you're going to sell one dead stock, it'd probably be very safe to get it 500, 600 dead stock, which makes my purchase so stupid because I got one 5 out of 10 for 500, 600 so.
Yeah, because I was saying sort of 400-500 earlier because just I hadn't looked at prices for a long time. But
I mean, people can ask whatever they want. But it's what they sell at,
But if there are people out there, mutual friend of ours, Rohan, shout out him, still asking, sort of 800-900, then that's big money.
A lot of the moolah.
Yeah, but then it is a sought after shirt, and I see them crop up once or twice a year, and they sit around for a week, I think, because the prices are so high. But there's always someone that ends up buying them.
Oh, yeah. That's the number one. For the Bait Nerd shirts, that's got to be number one, and they'll sell. But they just got to get the right price, too. So.
Yeah. So while we're talking about this kind of stuff, I know you collect bits and pieces. You do videos on bits and pieces you've got. What are your kind of all-time favourites in terms of BBC ice cream?
The one,
if you have any.
Oh no, I do. That's why I got stuff in my closet. I go through bad phases, so I definitely went through my BBC ice cream phase, like the last 2 years of just going mad trying to collect a ton of stuff. And number one for sure. It's actually all started off. I saw it just on a random picture on Twitter. Is the season 1 red ice cream varsity jacket? Has the Cones and Bones logo on the front left, and then it has ice cream sewn on to the back. That thing is beautiful. I've got the red and black, so those are insane. I have a lot of the varsities, so that would be a grail. I think it's season 1, the striped tee. It's like red, green, I think yellow. That thing's a beaut as well. It has the running dog on it. That one I don't have. If anybody on here is listening and has that shirt, large, extra large. Sorry to plugs, Penny, but for real,
it's fine. We're all one family here. It's fine.
You've already heard.
We'll help each other out.
Yeah, you've already heard. I'll pay stupid prices. So if you have that shirt, go ahead, hit me up. And then I guess number 3. Okay, are we restricting it to BBC ice cream or just nerd stuff?
No, you go for your life, whatever.
And then number 3 would be the yellow nerd hat. That one also. That's just the classic. You gotta love that. So.
Yeah, I'm glad. Like I got a yellow one and the black one again. End of last year, start of this year. Having had the OG ones from years ago when I used to see them tour all the time in the early 2000s, and then lost them somewhere.
It's a must-have. It's a staple. I mean, if you look at any pictures of Pharrell from those years, you're bound to see that hat, and it's just gives you that feeling. If you're a Pharrell fan, you're like, oh man, I couldn't even imagine wearing that hat,
So yeah, I have to say, if people haven't seen your collection, they can. Do you post many pictures on Instagram of the collection, or is it mainly like the YouTube videos?
If it's going to be collection stuff, it's going to be more on the YouTube, which I haven't been keeping up with, but all the old videos are there. So if you want to check those out, you get some like info on it, like some more history behind it. You get to hear the prices I've paid and just get to see an in-depth look at them. So
yeah, if you want to be mad jealous of a lot of people's grails, this guy has them. So go check out those videos definitely. Because I know I was watching a lot of them and I was like, oh damn, I passed up the opportunity to own that once, and mad jealous.
The worst part is when I see it pop up like months later after I already have it, and I'm like, fuck, I just want to buy it again, to be honest. I don't want anybody else to have this stuff. I want to have all the stock in the world. That's literally how I feel, and I'm like, oh, I can't.
That's seemingly how David does it with his collection of of ice creams and everything else. He just buys them all up.
Madman.
Yeah, very much so. So is there anything else apart from the T-shirt that's on your want list? Anything that you don't have yet?
From that, no. It's funny. I've actually not been buying clothes that much this year. There's one thing I've wanted is a Gucci jacket, which has nothing to do with Star Trek or N.E.R.D. So I'm not going to go too much into depth on it. I'll just say it hasn't popped up once, and I've been looking since January. So I'm a very frustrated person.
All right. So anyone out there, if you have, what's the model of it? Does it have a model name or number?
It's the Stripes tee. I feel like if you know, you know. Shout out Pusha T, which we'll probably get to in a sec. All right. BBC season 1 running dog. Is that what it's called? Stripes tee. So definitely.
All right. So anyone out there, if you have any of this stuff, then hit him up.
Let me cash you out.
Yeah, he's got all the money. It's fine. All right, so let's move on to some of the more recent releases that we've had. Let's start with the Carter stuff. We'll get that out of the way first. I have to say, I've only given the album like 2 listens, I think. To me, fairly strong album. Sounds more like a Beyonce album featuring Jay-Z most of the way through. But lots of good beats on there. We've got 2 Pharrell beats on there. One is, I can't remember the name of the other one, but the lead single is Ape Shit, and the other one I can't remember.
It's going to be nice.
That's it, yeah. So the Ape Shit one is really good video, first of all, shot in the Louvre in Paris, I guess over the course of 1 or 2 nights at some extortionate cost, because I know they charge like $200,000 a night to hire that place out. Good beat, good track, really like it. Just a little bit strange where it comes from, though. The fact it seems to have originally been a Migos track.
It doesn't seem to be. It's definitely a Migos track.
Well, yeah.
It is.
So
that's my problem with the song.
The Migos version leaked, and I don't know if it's confirmed or not, and I need to
Have you heard
message a couple of people. Yeah. I need to message a couple of people I know that worked on it, so we'll know. But I don't know if it was originally a Migos song that was possibly going to be on an album, or whether it was just something they demoed and was a reference track and always had the intention of maybe going elsewhere.
I think through and through, it's completely the version that released on the Cortes or whatever it's called is a Migos song. I mean, they've already said that the Migos wrote for it, and then you hear them singing vocals on it. The beat sounds like a Migos beat, and they just stole their flow. They stole their. I mean, it's a good song. I'll give them their credit, but it's literally stolen Migos flow, stolen Migos everything.
That's the thing. Yeah, if you listen to the Migos version, it is just essentially identical.
And which do you prefer?
I'd have to say I preferred the Carter version.
Because I'm surprised you said it leaked. I didn't know, and I've been telling people when we talk about the album, I'll be like, dude, that song Ape Shit, it's pretty good, but I guarantee the Migos version would be way better. So now I'm kind of sad I haven't heard it yet, because I didn't even know there was one, but I feel I'm just saying this because I dislike Migos in general. Yeah, I agree. they make good music here and there, but the Migos, as people, not my people.
Yeah, they do their thing. It's not my thing, though, so... I think I'm a bit old for that. That's where the old man in me is coming out. That's for the kids.
Yes.
But yeah, Carter album, generally fairly strong. I need to give it a few more listens, but it sounds like a really good kind of summer album. I would have gone to see them if they were touring over here in Finland. There. As with most artists, they do every country but Finland because they don't want to come here and pay the ridiculous costs that costs to actually come here and perform and stuff. But I've got a few friends that have been over, I think, to London, to Germany, Sweden, to kind of see them on this tour and stuff. But I've seen them both before previously, so I'm not too fussed about it.
If I can give my little piece on the album, I think you hit it right on the nose when you said it's a Beyonce album featuring Jay-Z. And I I don't know what it is, but I never got into the hype of Beyonce. I love Rihanna's albums. Rihanna's albums are good, but Beyonce just doesn't do it for me. And that whole album, I listened to it strictly because I knew we were going to be talking about it on here. I probably listened to it like 6-7 times. Can't get into it. There's a few songs, but geez, it is bad in my opinion. Not a fan.
It's one of those, yeah. I think I'll listen to it a few more times over the coming weeks and stuff. But if it's on in the background, I will have no issue with it. I will happily sit there and listen to it. But it's not one that I'm going to seek out and be asking like Siri to play for me every day, like I am with all of the Kanye albums that we've just had dropped.
Exactly. I think it's just disappointing for me because for me, when Jay-Z dropped 444 last year, that was my favorite Jay-Z album. Again, I am a kid. So you guys can be like, oh, Reasonable Doubt murdered this or this and that. I'm like, that's just not my vibe. But 444 was like real raps that I actually enjoyed. And to hear him go from that to this, very disappointing.
Yeah, and that's the problem with one of these albums. You know, they're both quite different artists. You know, you've got, obviously Jay has his commercial stuff and his crossover stuff. But, you know, he's an MC out and out. You know, you look back at the back catalogue and, you know, he's an MC.
Yeah.
And Beyonce, despite how big she is, how amazing she is, how talented she is, she's a pop artist. So, you know, there's always going to be that kind of fine line that the album treads. You know, is it a hip-hop album? Is it a commercial kind of pop album or an R&B album or whatever you want to kind of categorize it as? And I think, you know, at the end of the day, especially if you've got Beyonce's team involved in it, it's all about just pushing out the numbers, get as many as you can. So it's got to be more poppy than hip hop.
Yeah, she does her thing for sure. She can run up the numbers.
All right, well, let's get on to the other albums we were going to talk about quickly. And this is it's Yeezy season, I guess. It's Yeezy everything.
Yes, sir.
I had huge fears coming into the last couple of months. I think we've all seen and heard Kanye over the last 6 to 12 months or whatever. I think as fans, people have been worried about him personally, but also how that will drive and impact his output in terms of his beats and his own music and stuff. So I was kind of quite worried when I saw he was working on not just one album, but like 5 albums at
same
once.
Time, yeah.
You know, I thought he's in a place where just working on one album could be a stretch for him. But he's knocked out 5 albums basically. They're all short albums, not full albums. They're all 7 tracks long. They're all about 30 to 35 minutes or whatever they are. So it's not like he's, you know, they're banging out 60, 70-minute albums each time. But I was more than pleasantly surprised with the output of all of them. Now, I have to say the N.E.R.D one I've only listened to a few times. Mm-hmm. And that was similar to the Jay and Beyonce album. If it's on in the background, I can listen to it no problem. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to keep going back and seeking it out probably. Yep. The Tiana Taylor one, again, very similar. Really great R&B album. I listened to it a few times. Again, to me, it's probably background music at the moment. But then we come into like Pusha T, Cudi, and the Ye album themselves. I think all 3 of those get classic status from me straight away. They have been like the 3 albums that I have just had constantly playing day after day after day. And when that Pusha album came out, I was like, Pusha's got album of the year. They've killed it. You can't beat that. And then it's just got better and better. I think the Ye album was better. And then the Kids See Ghost album, I think, is even better itself as well.
Wow. First of all, the 7-song format, love it. It's perfect. You're driving somewhere, you can listen to basically the whole album. I'm really a big fan of that. I think I was expecting good music. I mean, I never gave up on Kanye musically for sure. I thought we were going to get some good stuff. Pusha album for sure. I think that's the hip-hop album of the year. And the thing is with that is, you hear I don't know if you listen to these new artists, but I'll listen to them here and there, and you're like, oh, they're good. And then to hear Pusha T come through with all these bars and this excellent production, you're like, holy shit. I forgot this is what real rap is. This is this is insane to hear real rapping like this, not some bullshit. And that was amazing. I still have that as the hip hop album of the year. Ye's album is going to be more musical, more singing, more good vibes, I would say. And the Kids See Ghosts is the album of the year. I think it's weird because it'll probably be grouped as a hip hop album if it does get nominated for Grammys. But I have that going to Pusha and the actual album of the year going to Kids See Ghosts for the musical version of it because it's more singy. It's classic Cudi, and Kanye did his thing, of course.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that. I was quite surprised of the direction of the tone of the Kanye album, the Cudi album. They both had their issues over the last year or so. I expected them to be quite dark albums almost, like My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy and stuff like that. Now, while you've got elements of that in the new Kanye album, especially with the Mike Dean stuff and the guitars and things, the general tone of the album is actually quite positive, I found.
Yep.
It echoes a lot of the stuff that he's been kind of saying in the media about, it's all love and stuff like that.
Uplifting.
Which is, I think, a really good direction to go in. It's good for him personally, and it's good for the music, and because he could have gone on those tracks and just rhymed about all sorts of craziness that's going on in his head and around him and in the media and stuff like that. But he generally, on the whole, has avoided a lot of that. Not avoided it, but just dismissed it and thought
he's moved on.
I'm going to try. I'm going to try and be positive about stuff. And no matter what you think about Kanye personally, and what he says and what he does, musically and sonically, the album is brilliantly put together. Even just on the first track, and this is what got me straight away, where he has the spoken part on the first track in the intro, where he's like, I thought about killing you, I thought about killing myself, but I love myself more than I love you. And it kind of repeats that, but if you listen to it carefully, you get all the different vocal distortions on each line, which you had on Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, which is giving the illusion that each time this line is said, it's coming from a different voice in his own head, and the pitch changes and the tone changes and the speed changes, and it's just so beautifully put together, I think.
Yeah, it's masterful. I would have never realized that, but now I have a whole new perspective on that song. Another thing with that song is it's a spoken intro, like you said, for what, 2 minutes, a minute and a half, and nobody's skipping that part. Nobody's saying, okay, let me get. That's it's amazing that he can have a spoken intro like that you want to hear, that you can relate to and really feel when you listen to it.
It's really strange because that's the first track, so I'll listen to that as I leave the house here. And again, as you say, normally with a spoken word kind of thing, I'll skip through it or whatever. But I will purposely turn that up in my earphones and listen to it and pick out all the kind of vocal changes and the pitch changes, and it gives me goosebumps. It's just so well put together. It's really good.
Ghost Town, best song on that album?
Yeah, possibly. I like Yikes as well.
Yeah, Yikes is the turn up song, and the thing is with Yikes, if you followed his tweets, I did at least, I follow him closely, I was looking at him religiously, he was speaking dragon energy and all this and that, and this is before he changed up the album for the TMZ incident. I'm thinking we would have gotten 7 songs of Yikes before the TMZ, because he's speaking dragon. When you think of dragon energy, what song out of that 7 is it going to be? I think it's got to be Yikes, where he's just turned up crazy, go hard, yay. Yeah, I'm not disappointed with what we got, but I'm just curious what we would have got if the TMZ incident had never happened.
Yeah, and I just find it interesting to see what it will bring, because I think people that follow him and that know how he works, we know he's locked in a studio with 10, 20 other people. They are banging out beat after beat after beat. They're they've obviously, they've whittled this down to 7, but I think, from 7 they probably started with like 200 and something.
Yeah.
So there's all sorts still there kind of in the vaults that we may or may not see in the future.
Yeah, that's what hurts me for sure, is thinking, damn, he's got all these songs that are probably fire that we'll never hear. Like last year he was caught like absolutely turning up with the Migos in the studio, who you said you don't like. But I could just imagine the great songs that came out of that and clearly weren't on this album,
But I read an interview with somebody, I can't think who it was. It might have even been like Kim Kardashian. Somebody from his camp that was saying, as he goes through the process, when he decides to take a track off of an album, it doesn't fit or he doesn't like it or he's just changed his mind, they will just delete it. It doesn't like go back in the vaults and like, we'll revisit it later, we'll reuse the beat, we'll switch up the sample. They literally hit a delete button on that keyboard,
and
it's gone forever.
That makes
now
me
I don't know if he's got some more sensible people around him that are like they've got backups,
got on the flash drive.
Exactly, yeah. They kind of take a copy of this every 5 minutes. I'd like to think there is, or hope there is. But yeah, from my understanding, when he doesn't like something and he wants to move on from it, literally hits delete and never visits it again.
That sounds like the most Kanye thing I've ever heard, so I'm going to believe it.
Yeah. But it's that kind of like state that he's in at the moment, where it's you move on to the next thing, it's like clean slate, you don't want to be influenced by these older things, and
don't want that in the back of your mind.
Out what's in your mind at the moment, yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I could believe that he does do that kind of thing, which I think is a very good way of dealing with your own work and your own life, but also very sad for me and for us as fans that want to try and hear some of this stuff in the future.
Just lost forever.
Exactly. And then Kids See Ghosts, which was kind of billed as a Cudi album, but is more of a...
Yeah, I'm going to interject, if you don't mind.
Go on.
Absolutely hate when people say, oh, the Cudi album was so good. It's not a Cudi album. It's a Kanye and Cudi album, or it's a Cudi and Kanye, but make sure you say both. It's like, what do you mean Cudi album? They're both on every song. Like, it's a collaborative album. It's not Cudi's album that Kanye produced. It's a collaborative album, but go ahead. That's just my little rant.
No, that's fine. That's fine. People out there, you've been told.
Get it right.
Yes, damn it. But yeah, for me, I talk about Ye being what I think, a beautiful album and an insight into his mind. I think Kids See Ghosts goes that next step as well, where you have that Kanye element, and you have some great bars from Kanye as well in that, just where he drops in randomly and has some really good lines. But also, like Cudi's gone through all of his stuff over the last kind of couple of years and has publicly spoken about depression and his mental health and addiction problems and stuff. So it's really good to see him in like a positive space as well and talking about moving on and being better and all that kind of stuff.
Coming through it.
Exactly. It's just they're really kind of uplifting, good albums.
Yeah, I think it's classic Cudi for sure. Like you said, Kanye has great bars. There's great, I don't know if we'd call them melodies, but sung in parts. Like the last song where he says, Lord, shine your light on me, save me, please. Or obviously Reborn has stuff like that. It's just stuff that people can relate to for the most part. So, I mean, everybody gets sad, and this song will just push you and move you into a better place. That whole album is like that, so...
Yeah, like Reborn that you just mentioned, brilliant. The Cudi montage at the end, and then I think it's sorry, go on.
I was gonna say also like it also has the Rockstar element of Cudi as well on Cudi montage or Fire has it's like I love your shit talking, and it's just like a rock song, and you have the hard guitar in the back, and it is classic Cudi. It's a collaborative album, but it's definitely a lot of Cudi sound on it. Yeah,
definitely. But it works so well. And again, like I say, like beforehand, I was a little bit worried about how it would come out. But yeah, to me, album of the year. Well, we're only in June at the moment still, June, July. But I can see it being album of the year.
I hope so, but the Grammys always disappoint me. So,
well, yeah. Well, the Grammys mean nothing. The Grammys are just commercial awards.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was going to mention it's on the track Fourth Dimension, the Kanye verse. I both love and hate this Kanye verse at the same time that he's got on there. It starts really brilliantly. In the middle, it goes a bit like awry, but then at the end, it gets really good again. And he's got that really good part at the end where it says, "If I get locked up, I won't finish the sentence."
Yeah.
And he doesn't finish the sentence itself that he's speaking. I just think that's really kind of clever and really, really well done.
Yeah, it gets me every time.
And like, for Kanye fans out there, if you're really interested to kind of like take a deep dive into the lyrics and all those kind of weird and wonderful things, check out the Dissect podcast. I think it's the second season of it where he does My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, and literally does like a deep dive on every word, every piece of music on the album, and it's
Next
even
level.
as someone like me who listens to those albums a lot and takes a lot of it in, there's still so much stuff that I completely missed or listened to it and was like, oh shit, yeah, now I see that a different way, and oh yeah, that means that, and that ties into that, and yeah, some really good stuff on that podcast. I think it's the new season is what are they doing on the new season?
Yeah, it's Frank Ocean.
Frank Ocean, that's it, yes. I went blank there for a minute. And I think it's a Spotify exclusive, so you get on Spotify first, and then it's on all the other podcast places like a couple of days later. But I think the first season, which was Kendrick, and then the second Kanye season, you can just get everywhere, and is really, really worth a listen. Even if you're not a fan of those people, just to like understand the music and the samples and the lyrics and everything that goes into it. Really, really good.
Yeah, it's great stuff. They need to do a Nerd edition or Star Trek edition.
Well, yeah, I've been speaking. So the guy that does the podcast, Cole, before he signed to Spotify and blew up, I was speaking to him about trying to get him on here. So there may be one day that we can get him on here, but he is kind of big time now. So
That is insane.
He's got that Spotify money, so
Must be nice.
Yeah, and he was just, I think if I remember rightly when I spoke to him, he had a day job. He's got like a partner. He was like just doing this in the evenings. He would come home and sit there listening to the music, doing all his notes, and he was doing it all in his own spare time. I think now that Spotify have come in, he's been able to kind of do it completely full time, which is, you know, a really great position to be in, you know, doing something that you love like that, and deep diving into that music and then producing a podcast about it is really great.
Oh yeah, it's got to be awesome.
Alrighty, so is there anything else about the albums you wanted to talk about or mention? Or
I think we touched it all. I didn't listen to the Tiana Taylor album. I just knew that wasn't for me, so I avoided it. But the other four have been 4 for 4. So I'm just glad it went well. And then announced yesterday was that he's going to be doing a 7-track album with Chance the Rapper. So that should be good as well. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, that should be good. The Tiana album, I'd say give it a listen. There's a lot of stuff in there which is very like when Kanye was doing like the R&B stuff in the early 2000s, you know, the Janet Jackson stuff and Keisha Cole and people like that. There's a lot of influences from there, or at least that's what it sounded like to me. So it's actually quite different to the other stuff they've put out recently.
Do you think
so
I would like
listen
it?
At least
worth a listen?
Worth a listen, I think. Yes.
All right, I'll
you
give it a
might be
shot.
pleasantly surprised.
I'll give it a shot.
Stick it on in the background, and yeah,
Let it ride.
yeah. All right, cool. Well, we've covered She Wants to Move. We've covered all of the new albums. We've covered your ridiculous varsity collection that you have.
Yeah, buddy.
So, if people want to check out the videos, what's your YouTube channel called?
He Hate Me, Luke. He Hate Me.
So, youtube.com/.
He Hate Me, Luke. Yes, sir.
Cool. I'll put a link in the show notes as well, and I think we've linked to it before in the past, but we'll put that back out there. And if people want to follow you elsewhere, can they? And if so, where?
If you want to follow me, I would recommend the He Hate Me Luke Instagram. That's my public one. Definitely, if you want to look at my clothing line, the one I do with my brother, that's going to be Cuts Engineering, CUTS Engineering. If you can't spell that, probably shouldn't be following us in the first place. But just go ahead. Definitely recommend checking that out. Streetwear company. You know my influences, BBC, all that stuff. My brother is a skater. We have those influences, and it's perfectly fusioned together.
Nice, good stuff. Yeah, we'll put all the links in the show notes, and people can go over and check that out. If you want to follow the podcast, you can get all the information over at theotherz.net, Others with a Z. There you can also find the show notes and links and how to contact us, all that kind of jazz. If you want to help support the podcast, you can go to patreon.com/others. Again, Others with a Z. And if you want to donate a small amount of money, it would be highly appreciated, and we'll go into helping us continue to try and put this podcast out on a semi-regular basis, which we haven't done lately. You can follow me at Steve R. Penny on all the social media stuff, or superhelsinki.com. And with that, I think that is it for this week, so we will sign off there, and I'll speak to you soon, everyone. Bye-bye.